Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the previous verses, we heard about the agonies, painful conditions which a living entity undergoes, starting from his childhood, boyhood, youthhood. As his age grows, his body grows. Along with that, there are many other things which goes on increasing in his life, and he becomes implicated. So here we see tadartham kurute karma. Tadartham means referring to his body. He starts performing all activities in connection with his body. His body has many demands, wants to satisfy many urges, and for that sake, tadartham kurute karma. He starts performing all activities. The center of all of his material activities will be his body. Yad baddho yati samsritim. Shri Krishna Balarama ki. Yad baddaha yati samsritim. Because of his attachment to his body, because he has kept the body as a center of his life, and all activities in relationship with the body, what's happening? The result is he is baddaha. He is bounded. Bounded to what? Bounded to samsritim, repeated birth and death. Yo anuyati dadat klesham. The body anuyati follows him. It doesn't leave him wherever he wants to go. He has to take this 50 kg, 60 kg or whatever load along with him. This is there how a living entity has some desire to fly. With just his body, somehow he cannot fly. Either he has to take up to very like ugra karma, very hard labor involving manufacturing of various kinds of machinery to assist him, to help him fly in the sky. Because the body as it is cannot fly. So various very elaborate arrangement needs to be done. And there again he'll be implicated. Or if at all the desire is there, maybe he has to wait till he takes up another body of a bird, so that in that, whatever that facility given, he can fly. But if that facility is given, some other facility is taken away, he can't swim in the water. Maybe if that desire is there, he has to give up this body, take up a body of a fish, and then fulfill this desire. So all these complicated things are there. So what is it ultimately? The body follows him. based on his karma, based on his desire, whatever body he has got, he has to be with it. He can't just somehow give up his body. Maybe cross body sometimes forcefully some people give up, but still the karma follows him. The subtle body of mind, intelligence and ego follows him and forces him to enter another cross body. He cannot escape this. So that is it. Yo anuyati dadat klesham. And this body, dadat klesham, is a source of all kinds of miseries. Starting from birth, diseases, old age, death, adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidaivika kleshas, innumerable in this material world. Dadat klesham. Because he has identified with this body, so he has to undergo all of these painful conditions. If at all he had not identified with this body, something happens to the body, he is unconcerned. He would have not underwent the pain or the suffering. Because he is thinking, I am this body, the body is following him, and whatever painful conditions the body is experiencing, he thinks it is mine. I am undergoing all of these painful conditions. Avidya karma bandhanaha. Avidya means ignorance. Due to ignorance, karma bandhanaha. Fruitive activities he performs, which goes on increasing his bondage to this material world. Just like last class we heard, there is a rope and you tie a knot. To make it firm, we tie another knot on top of it. Maybe one more. And this material existence is a network of so many such knots, bindings, very difficult to overcome. Which is the first knot which is tied? Family second. Body, I am this body. This is the first knot which is tied. And then my family, relatives, my country, my community, it goes on. The first knot is, I am this body. So because of which he has to undergo various painful conditions. And especially he has to undergo the samsriti. Yad baddho yati samsriti. Samsriti means repeated birth and death in this material world. This will not leave him. Again and again he has to take birth, he has to die. Again he'll take birth, again death. So this cycle goes on and on till the time he becomes self-realized, till the time he becomes eligible to go back to Godhead. This bondage will not leave him. Let us see a few other very important points which Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Here, Prabhupada says, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one has to work to satisfy Yajna or Vishnu, for any work done without the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of bondage. So we have to work. Without working, without activity, a living entity cannot exist. In some activity, always he is engaged. That's the nature of the spirit soul. Now, he has to engage himself in the activities connected with satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. If he doesn't do this, what will happen? He cannot stop working. He can't stop acting. So what he'll do? He'll act, he'll work for the satisfaction of his own body, his own senses, his mind, intelligence, ego. He'll become servant of all of these. Krishna says, Yajñarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. We have to work for the satisfaction of the Lord. Otherwise, any single activity done which is not connected with the Supreme Lord, karma bandhana. That activity will become the cause for his bandhana, bondage to this material world. So we have to perform activities, yajna arthat, for the satisfaction of the Lord. Then in the purport to this verse, Prabhupada mentions, the Vedas enjoin yajno vai vishnoho. In other words, the same purpose is served when one performs prescribed yajnas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it is prescribed in this verse. That means what? All the activities what we do in Krishna consciousness, it may be just like activities in our temple. Activities, simple activities such as cleansing, brooding, sweeping, pot washing, cooking, managing, fundraising, varieties of activities. All of these activities are nothing but yajna, activity done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. The result is no karma bandhana. There is no bondage to this material world. On the other hand, there is purification of the heart. We are gradually attaining, coming closer to the highest position of attainment of love of Godhead. We are awakening our love of God through all of these various activities. Any activity we do, bereft of the Supreme Lord, bereft of the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, karma bandhana. There is bondage. Another point Srila Prabhupada mentions, how a blind man leading several other blind men, and all of them go and fall in a ditch. And Prabhupada says how? This is exactly what's happening today. Prabhupada mentions this. This is actually happening. So what is actually happening in the outside world? There are many leaders, social leaders, political leaders, intellectual leaders, family leaders, community leaders. Majority of them, majority means almost 99.99% of them, they are all having a wrong concept of life. What is a wrong concept of life? Thinking that I am this body. Welfare of my dependents, welfare of my followers means there's something needs to be done for their bodily satisfaction, for their mental satisfaction. Just like we have heard, especially political leaders promising their vote givers that we'll provide you with this, we'll provide you with that. Hundreds of promises they make with the intent of getting their votes. And maybe there are many sincere people also who try for it also. Okay, we'll construct nice houses for you. We'll try to see to it that there is no shortage of food. We'll see to it that there is continuous electricity provided to you. All like this various promises we hear. But in this due course, what's happening? The people who are following and the leaders who are leading, both of them are falling into the ditch of samsriti, as it is mentioned here. Repeated birth and death. Through whatever activities of constructing houses, sufficient food, whatever, electricity or they build some big amusement, whatever, parks or theaters and sports facilities, anything it may be. All of them are not connected with the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So, it is putting them into this karma bandhana or samsriti, repeated birth and death. So this is what actually this is quote from Bhagavatam. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu durashayaye bahirartamaninaha andha yathander upaniyamanaha tepisha tantram urudami bandha. Not knowing their real swartha gati is to act, to work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. They go ahead performing varieties of activities, and especially spoken about the leaders, andha yathander, one andha, one blind man, he is calling various other blind men, come, I'll lead you. You are unable to see, I will lead you, you follow me, and I'll promise you better life. But all of them go and fall into the ditch of repeated birth and death. The real problem is not solved. In this connection, let me read this verse which I came across recently. This verse is from the portion of the Uddhava Gita. Krishna giving his teachings to Uddhava just before his departure. In that context, the way we find in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explaining about like the Vibhuti Yoga. I am, of all great things what we see in this world, I represent this. Likewise, a very great, big list, elaborate description is given by Krishna to Uddhava also. We find this in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There we find this verse. Dharmanam asmi sanyasaha kshemanam abahir matihi guhyanam sunrutam maunam mithunanam ajastvaham. Among all religious principles, I am renunciation. Dharmanam asmi sanyasaha. So this sannyasa dharma, being detached, renunciation, this is considered to be something highest. So Krishna says, I represent this sannyasa dharma. Then, kshemanam abahir matihi. Of all types of security, I am consciousness of the eternal soul within. Again I repeat, of all types of security, I am consciousness of the eternal soul within. Here Krishna speaks of kshema, safety, security, some solace, protection. So we people, we are aware how we are all fearful in this material world. What will happen to my body? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my future? And we perform various activities to make us secure. My tomorrow should be secure. Somehow we have understood that this material world, problems will come. So we try to foresee what all problems may arrive tomorrow, and I should be prepared. Let me prepare for it. Let me put myself in some secure, safe position, not to become too disturbed in whatever the disturbances which naturally happens in the outside world. So Bhagavatam says, Deha patya kalatradishu atma sainyeshu asatsu api. For whatever the protection for our security, we try to take nice food, maintain our health, body nicely. We take care of our family members. We think that yes, my husband, my wife, my children, they will take care of me. when I am not in some good healthy condition or whatever, and my relatives, they will help me, my friend circle, they will give me protection, they will help me. Like this, we go on extending. We consider all of these things will give me real protection. But all of this, in the Bhagavatam it is said, asatsu api. They are asat. The way how you are temporary, all of them are also temporary. They cannot give real protection to us. So, among all of our endeavor to be safe, be secure for our security, Krishna is suggesting here, Kshemanam abahir matihi. Now, our mati, our consciousness is centered around this body. I am this body. Bahir mati means this only. Actually, we are not this body, but I am thinking I am this body. The consciousness or the knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit soul within. This knowledge, this consciousness is the real security or the real safety. Only when we are situated in this consciousness that I am not this body but spirit soul, this Krishna says, of all types of security, I am this, the consciousness of the eternal soul within. If we are forgetfulness of this, what will happen? We start thinking I am this body and all things connected with this body becomes mine. And this body is a source of all kinds of pain in this material world. And we go on suffering. See, just a thought that I am not the body but spirit soul. And Krishna explains, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na kledayanti apo, na shoshayati marutaha. The soul cannot be cut into pieces, cannot be burned, cannot be moistened. Nothing can happen to the spirit soul. Jivera swarupahaya nitya Krishna Dasa. It is eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Nothing can happen to this. So this consciousness, this awareness gives real security. And then Guhyanam Sunrutam Maunam. Of secrets, I am pleasant speech and silence. This is also very interesting to understand. Of all secrets, I am Sunrutam, pleasant speech, and Maunam, silence. This we can understand how Maunam, silence means some secret, not to reveal anything to others. So this is how like we become like diplomatic, what to say, what not to say, all of these things. Something connected with silence and Sunrutam also. In ordinary pleasant speech, very few confidential things are revealed, and thus diplomacy is aid to secrecy. Right? In ordinary pleasant speech, someone comes and starts telling, this is okay, this is good. In such conversation, in such speech, the reality doesn't come out. Just like a child, he wants to play throughout the day, and he's playing. Someone comes and he's playing, maybe he's tired, give him some water, give him some food, let him continue to play. He has made his clothes dirty by playing, let me give another set of pairs of clothes, whatever. And the child accepting all these facilities, and someone is concerned about his playthings and all. He is very happy. Very good to hear, very good to listen, and he is very pleased with all of these things. But his father or the mother, they will come and start chastising him. You have not gone to school, not done your homework. These instructions may not be pleasing to the child. Yes, sir? It may not be pleasing. This is how it is in the material world. Truth is not always pleasing. The Bhagavad Gita says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is a place, temporary place of misery. It may not be pleasing to us. And the Bhagavatam says, Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. This body is nothing but a bag filled with all abominable substances. So much we are caring for this body, trying to keep it nicely. It is a bag of stool, urine, blood, mucus, bones and all abominable substances. See, this is how the Bhagavatam explains. And Krishna says, Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta sharirinaha. Today or tomorrow, this body is sure to end. So these truths will not be very palatable for us. But still, these are the real facts of life and we have to accept it. On the other hand, the words of some politicians or some so-called leaders who may promise various things related to this body, bodily comforts, it may appear pleasing to us, but actually they are far from reality, far from pleasing us. The leader and the so-called followers, all of them go and fall into the ditch. Anda yathandaya upaniyamanaha te pishatantrayam urunami bandhaha. So this is what it is. One more before we end. One story I would like to analysis from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now here we are hearing about how, because of the bodily concept of life, the body continuously follows us, and this body is a source of all kinds of miseries. We are not this body, but we are spirit soul. Because of our ignorance, identifying with this body, all problems arise in our life. So we have to come out of this bodily concept of life. And we should re-establish ourselves in spiritual concept of life. We should be established in the spiritual conception of life, that we are spirit soul, and act on that platform. So let us try to understand through one example from the Chaitanya Charitamrita of great devotees, how they conduct themselves standing on this spiritual understanding, spiritual concept of life, how their external activities in the material world would be. Taking the example of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur, a very close associate of Lord Chaitanya, said to be the incarnation of the great devotee Narada Muni. So Srivas Thakur, he was a grihastha, leading a family life, and it was in his home that Lord Chaitanya inaugurated the Sankirtana movement, performing Sankirtan. So this went on for days, whole night practically. Mahaprabhu and all of his associates used to perform Sankirtan in Srivas Thakur's house. Srivas Angan also, if you go to Mayapur, we see there. So here, various incidents from the life of Srivas Thakur, let us try to understand. And what was the response of Srivas Thakur or Srivas Pandit. Once, when Srivasa Pandita, he went to the assembly of Devananda Pandita. This Devananda Pandita was a great Bhagavatam reciter. Very beautifully he used to explain the verses from the Bhagavatam in a very attractive way. But of course he was not elevated to the level of the way love of Godhead, the way Srivas Thakur was. Srivas Thakur went and sat in the assembly where this Devananda Pandit, he was reciting the Bhagavatam, explaining it. And at one point of time, Srivas Thakur started shedding tears. He became very ecstatic, hearing about the Supreme Lord, His activities, and I think it's especially when he heard this verse, Tattero kampam susamikshamano Bhunjana eva atmakritam vipakam. How the devotees accept everything, whatever happens as the mercy of the Lord. And all these descriptions were going on, and Srivas Thakur became very ecstatic and he started shedding tears. There were some disciples of Devananda Pandita who considered Srivas Thakur to be an impostor, to be someone who is creating some trouble there. So they forcefully dragged Srivas Thakur out of that assembly. They literally, physically, they assaulted him, they threw him out. But were dragging him outside the hall, considering him to be a nuisance, not understanding the exalted position of Srivasa Thakur. So this we see. And second incident, in the case of like what happened with the Gopala Chapala. So this Gopala Chapala wanted to defame Srivas Thakur. So when the whole night there was kirtan going on inside the house of Srivas Thakur, and this Gopala Chapala, what he did? He placed some items, ingredients meant to like worship of like the Shaktas, which involves some liquor and some abominable items like that. All of these things were placed at the doorstep of Srivas Thakur. The intention was to defame him, to show to people that, see, this is what Srivas Thakur is doing. Actually, Srivas Thakur was an exalted, respectable Brahmana, but the situation was made to show to people that he involves in all some abominable worship. That was the way the Gopala Chapala, like he tried to defame Srivas Thakur. And even for this, Srivas Thakur did not retaliate or whatever. In fact, what he did, he called everyone nearby, all the neighbors, and said, this is what I am. But of course, all the neighbors, they were aware of the position of Srivas Thakur, and immediately they got it removed and cleansed the place. So this was how he was tried to be defamed, giving some like mental torture or pain, but still he was unaffected. They dragged him out of the assembly, he was unaffected, and people tried to defame him, and still he was unaffected, he did not retaliate. And then another incident of Srivas Thakur, how when the kirtan was going on in his home, Mahaprabhu, when along with all of his associates, he is performing nice kirtan, and there was a news that Srivas Thakur's son has died. He has passed away. Still, Srivas Thakur did not become disturbed. On the other hand, he warned all especially the ladies in the inner rooms in the home, not to cry loudly. This will disturb Mahaprabhu, who is engaged in kirtan in the hall. This news should not disturb Mahaprabhu. See, that was his detachment. Even from his own son, he has died. Instead of grieving, usually what happens, people grieve for it and try to do the last final rites or whatever has happened, let it not disturb the Sankirtan performed by Mahaprabhu outside. This was his consciousness, completely detached from his kith and kin. And now, so here we see Srivas Thakur, such an exalted devotee, completely detached from whatever happens to his personal body or for his name and fame, to his own son and relatives, unconcerned. Same Srivas Thakur, when he came to Jagannath Puri during the Rath Yatra, in front of Lord Jagannatha's cart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed wonderful kirtan. Actually, in the beginning, 7 teams were performed, and then at one point of time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to dance in front of Lord Jagannatha, all the 7 teams converged in front of Jagannatha's cart. At that point of time, like Mahaprabhu, the huge elaborate description we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, He started with all ecstatic symptoms. He displayed. Everyone saw that in such wonderful way. Mahaprabhu is performing kirtan. Nobody had seen it earlier at all. And to protect, to whatever, Mahaprabhu, not to disturb him, there was Nityananda Prabhu in the first, whatever, trying to avoid like Mahaprabhu from falling down. And another second circle, all his close associates involving Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur and Vakreshwar Pandit, many others, they are forming a chain because in Rath Yatra the crowd will be too much. So to protect Mahaprabhu, they were forming a chain. And the third circle, there were the royal assistants which the king had deputed, Maharaja Prataparudya, along with all of his ministers and officials. They were there in the third circle. And in the center, Mahaprabhu is performing wonderful kirtan, dancing very high, exhibiting all of whatever ecstatic symptoms in his body, rolling around like in a lot of chakra, is rotating, and in varieties of ways he is performing kirtan there. And everyone are looking at it. So there what happens? Srivas Thakur is the second circle, looking at the Lord. Behind him was Maharaja Prataparudra. This was not noticed by Srivas Thakur. And Maharaja Prataparudra, he had his assistant secretary, Harichandana, who was making way, like king, he comes forward, like people, they make way. So this Harichandana, his secretary, is making way. And in the third circle, the king is standing, and he is also trying to watch nice kirtan of Mahaprabhu there. So, but in the second circle, Srivas Thakur is there, he is obstructing the view of the king. The king is trying to see there, but in between, Srivas Thakur is standing. So, Harichandana, the king's secretary, he was patting Srivas Thakur to indicating to move aside so that the king can watch. So this happened one time, two times, more than three times. He's patting or tapping him, and Srivas Thakur was so absorbed in looking at the wonderful kirtan done by Mahaprabhu there. He found it very disturbing. Someone is disturbing him from looking at Mahaprabhu. And at one point of time, he becomes very angry, turns around and gives one tight slap to Harichandana. So here, through this, we can understand how the same Srivas Thakur, when someone dragged him out of the assembly hall, insulted him, tried to defame him, his own son passing away, dying, he was unconcerned with any of these things. But just little someone coming and tapping him, he became so angry, he couldn't tolerate that, he went and slapped him. So through this, what we can understand how, as devotees, when it comes to our personal, sense gratification, our own, our personal interests, a devotee is unconcerned. There he applies the principle, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna, becoming humbler than a blade of grass and tolerant than a tree. Someone comes and humiliates, creates disturbances, to his personal body or anything it may be, hurts his ego, some relation, anything it may be, he's unconcerned. He doesn't retaliate. He's not too much concerned with it. But the same devotee, when it comes to his devotional service, service to the spiritual master, service to Krishna, he is fully aware of, it may be the maintenance of the body, protection of the body, giving necessities to the body, and trying to avoid any uncomfortable situations which is unfavorable for his practice, performance of devotional service. He is very, very alert. And anything connected with the Lord, his service, his property or anything, some disturbances happen, the devotee is fully ready to protect the interest of the Supreme Lord, involving or whatever, with the help of his body, his intelligence, everything is ready for the service of the Lord. And there he doesn't apply, I am not this body, whatever happens, no. Anything in connection with the devotional service of the Lord, this body, now that this body is offered the spiritual master, now this is the property of the spiritual master, so it has to be engaged in the service of the Lord. The spiritual master has given back this to us, and with the instruction to engage it in the service of the Lord. So the maintenance of the body, caring for the body, as a matter of duty, how much it is required for the service of the Lord, we are supposed to do. But anything connected with our own sense gratification, we should be unconcerned by just the way great devotees like Srivas Thakur has set the example. So we'll conclude with this. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,